friends, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about flat sketching, which is the next step in our series on how to develop your own clothing line. So when we're talking about fashion sketching, that's usually different from technical sketching or technical drawing, and I will be doing another video on technical drawing or technical flats at another time. Fashion sketching is usually what comes first, and this is kind of just getting your ideas down on paper. So you've gathered all of your inspiration, and now you're ready to start actually creating some sort of representation of what you have in your brain. Often this is hand-drawn, but it could also be drawn on an iPad or a computer, whatever you would like to use. But generally, fashion sketching has maybe less of the actual stitching lines and a little bit more personality. They're really to communicate to yourself or maybe your team that you work with kind of the vision that you're going for, the vibe, and these generally are not shared with the manufacturer as they don't have all of the stitching lines and important information that they might need to give to a pattern maker to efficiently and effectively make the design that you have in your head. So if you are somebody who can just sketch off of a blank sketchbook page and be able to get across your vision, you for sure can do that. I would not discourage you from doing that. However, if sometimes you struggle a little bit with getting the proportions right or getting the body shape quite right, a very effective tool for fashion sketching is called a croquis. And a croquis is essentially just the outline of a body that you can use to draw clothing on. There are so many resources for croquis. Fashion Designers Nexus has a library of croquis. Generally they're free. You can also just find free resources on Google. Often some other designers will have croquis available. You usually see them in any sort of resource about fashion sketching. But the thing that you want to keep in mind is you just want to make sure that it's something that you can effectively use. So me personally, I like having the design lines that would be on a dress form. So generally it has, the body shape, but it also has kind of like the princess lines from the shoulder going all the way down. It has a few extra lines in there just to help guide my designs and my proportions. I don't really personally like croquis that have faces or hair or things like that, but there's really so many options. You can also create your own croquis and use that as your template. And then there's lots of different ways that you can use the croquis. So if you're using it on an iPad, you could do a screenshot or import the image into your design software. I like Procreate, and then you can just draw right on top of it. I've done that quite a bit. And then what I've been doing a lot recently is using a croquis, but with the lines lightened quite a bit, and then I can draw directly on that. So just so you can get what I'm saying, this is a croquis. This is the body, and it has those few extra lines I was talking about coming here. And because this is printed a little bit more transparent, then when I draw on it with either a pencil or a pen, then you can still see the outline of the croquis, but it's not competing with my actual design. One thing that I just want to point out here is that I have created a croquis sketchbook. So I have this size, which is the 8x10, and then I also have a smaller version of 5x8, and it's specifically for fashion design. So each page has the croquis in a lighter print, and then also a square here that you can paste like your inspiration photos or your fabric, and then a few lines so that you can write any notes that you have. So I can show you kind of how I used it for one of my projects. So here I put all my inspiration and the fabric I was going to use. I wrote a few notes I wanted to keep in mind, and then I did my sketching here. And you can see I do not have stitching lines in here. It's more just the general vibe that I was going for as I was working on this design. But like I said, there are so many great resources for croquis. You can also just draw it just on plain paper. I sometimes do that. If I don't want to use a croquis, I'll just draw the actual, clothing item, and sometimes I like doing that. I just do lots of different things, but I find this having a croquis, a physical paper copy, really helps me a lot. Okay, so now that we have our croquis figured out, let's start with sketching. So this is a really fun part of the design process because it's just getting your ideas out onto paper. You can be as creative as you would like and as not creative as you'd like. So I don't have a super intensive style when it comes to my fashion sketching or fashion illustration. Some people definitely do, and they take their time to develop that, and I think that that is great. You don't need to do that in order to effectively create a clothing collection, but if that's something that you love and you want to develop, then for sure go for it. So as we're starting, we just want to think about all of the principles and elements of design that we've thought about so far, right? So in my other videos, I was talking about things such as balance, symmetry, proportion, color, all of those things. Then we have all of our inspiration in mind. So we have, really gathered kind of the vibe that we're going for, what we're thinking about. And then now that we have those, now we're ready to start with our fashion sketching. All right, so let's get sketching. I'm going to show you kind of how I've been doing this lately. So I found some pictures on Pinterest that are kind of inspiring this look. And I also found some fabric that I'm hoping to use for this project. So I just cut this out. And of course you can have you can do this all virtually too. You could have it on a Pinterest board and then, download that, put it on Procreate. You don't even have to really print it out or have it necessarily collected, but it kind of helps to kind of get across the vibe that you're going for. So, okay, I have all my little pictures printed out. And then I have my little fabric swatches. And then I've just been using washi tape. So here I have this, and I'm just gonna, put this here and make a cute little collage. Trying to make sure you can see it. And then I have my inspiration photos, and then I'm going to put my fabric here. And there we have that. And then I'm just going to make a few notes in here, just kind of, what I'm going for. So, I kind of want a loose overall kind of vibe. Loose overalls, a summery kind of vibe, a little bit patchwork. I'm going to use some of my, denim from jeans that have ripped or whatever. So some reclaimed denim. And now that I feel clear on what my vision is, now I can start with the sketching. Okay, so now that you have that ready, now a quick note, you can use whatever instruments, of course, that you would like. Pens or pencils are usually good, especially mechanical pencils, because you get that really, narrow edge. But, you can use anything that you could use to create art, You could use watercolors, you could use colored pencils, you could use pastels, whatever. It's totally up to you. Like I said, but I prefer using pencil so I can erase if I make mistakes. but pen would definitely show up a little bit better. But now I can just kind of sketch and get my thoughts down. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going to share a few things. Okay, so I want to make sure that my lines are definitely visible, and I use these guiding lines to help me a lot. So this line kind of mid-shoulder is a really good place for straps, and I kind of like this straight across, but I think I want it to dip a little bit on the side and then meet up here. I want to have the shorts be separate and wide leg with a cuff. Ooh, a little bit too much. Definitely want to have those nice big pockets. Want to have a cute little pocket on the front. And then just to kind of make sure I'm keeping in mind my patchwork idea, I'll just draw a couple of patches in here. And then on the back, and you want to keep in mind usually croquis are front and back. That really helps with making sure we have all of the different aspects of this style. And often you can use a side view croquis if you need to, if there's a special side detail that you want to keep in mind. So I think I want this to have like a traditional kind of and you can see here that I'm not being too particular about making sure that it's all perfect. It's really just to get the idea down on paper. And I'll definitely want to have some back pockets. And then now that I'm thinking about, I should probably have some hardware here. So, you know, maybe one of these kinds of things. And, you know, gotta get those buckles on there. And there you have it. So hopefully that kind of helps you get the idea of it. It's really to get the idea out and kind of the intention. And it really, you know, if I gave this to a pattern maker, they would have a lot of questions, but I know what I'm thinking here, and now I can create the technical flat that then I could give the technical flat to a pattern maker or a manufacturer, but that will be another video, like I said. And, you know, really just have fun with it. This is the thing that is like, at least for me, it definitely feels like how I thought it would be to be a fashion designer, is, you know, doing my little fashion illustrations and getting them all out on paper. So it's super fun. And if you're interested in one of these sketchbooks, like I said, I have this kind of standard size and a mini size, and the mini size is perfect for going, you know, in your backpack or in a bag to take with you on the go. And I've been using it a ton just for my projects and also in my work as a designer. But you can use any croquis, but hopefully this gives you kind of a well-rounded idea of what fashion sketching really is. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to cover more in depth, feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok. And don't forget to hit the subscribe bell and watch out for the next video. See you later!